From San Francisco to Oakland to the North Bay, people across the Bay Area took to the streets pushing for change.
Yes. Hey, Alex, good to be with you today. So as you can see, it's really starting to fill up here. We are on the mall. Protesters here are telling me they are looking for those things that we've been talking about all week, of course, on MSNBC. Universal background checks, raising that minimum age from 18 to 21.
Large protest that is set up here signs class of 2025. I want to feel safe at school. Stop the violence. Gun control now.
Gun control has absolutely nothing to do ideologically with the control of firearms. Look at history between guns and gun ownership. You will find that, without question, gun laws were created to restrict gun ownership from certain classes of people.
The first gun control laws in America start in 1620 in Virginia, when the legislature enacts a law saying don't let black people have guns.
And so you get a whole spate of state-level laws, either explicitly barring African Americans from enjoying their civil rights, or doing so cleverly.
It wasn't that they said the Second Amendment doesn't apply to these people. It was, they're not considered people.
Senator Dianne Feinstein worked for more than a year to get the assault weapons bill passed.
If I could have gotten 51 votes in the Senate of the United States, Mr. and Mrs. America, turn them all in, I would have done it.
A few states put their own assault weapons bans into place that year, but it wasn't until Clinton signed the crime bill in September 1994 that it became a federal ban.
Been here since December 30th of '04. 7 months later, Katrina comes. You know, unfortunately, no sign of police, no cell phones, no nothing. And that's when I guess some of the undesirables started coming out. That's when I pulled my guns out. All the police departments, fire departments, all the rescue people from all over the country came by. They saw me with my guns out there. Nobody messed with me. Until about 10 days after the storm, there was about a dozen U.S. Marshals that come walking down the street. They pulled their guns on me, told me to put it down. They took that gun, and they wanted to know if there was any other guns here, and I said yes, and they came in and took all of them too.
This went on all over the city.
So to gun owners out there who say, well, a Biden administration means they're going to come for my guns.
Bingo, you're right if you have an assault weapon.
I, Joseph Robinette Biden Jr., do solemnly swear.
I, Joseph Robinette Biden Jr., do solemnly swear. Will, to the best of my ability,
preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution of the United States.
The Constitution of the United States.
The Constitution of the United States.
The Constitution of the United States. For example, we passed the most extensive gun legislation in 30 years.
I want you to imagine if Joe Biden said, we passed the most extensive anti-free speech legislation in 30 years. People would be running around screaming that the world was ending.
There's nothing to do about how you
to me.
For our family members who have lost blood, they should be respected.
Reclaiming my time. So, Mr. Chairman, I'd like 40 seconds.
I've seen my
constituents die in battle. And there's a lot of talk in Washington about weapons of war. Is a true what would be defined as a weapon actually used in war has a selector switch on it for fully automatic, 3-round burst, and semi-automatic. Those firearms are not allowed for purchase in the United States today. Is not what the Democrats are attempting to ban today, because that's already banned. What we're talking about is a semi-automatic rifle. The most popular handgun in the United States that was purchased is the Glock 19. It functions in exactly the same way as this rifle. It's a semi-automatic, just like that's a semi-automatic. This is a semi-automatic handgun. As quick as I depress the trigger of this Glock 19, a round comes out of the chamber. You're banning a class of weapons that you don't like the look of.
To Capitol Hill now, the House has passed a bill banning assault weapons for the first time in nearly 3 decades.
We're introducing legislation to implement a national freeze on handgun ownership. What this means is that it will no longer be possible to buy, sell, transfer, or import handguns anywhere in Canada.
Councillors calling for a national handgun ban. Could we just get your thoughts?
I can tell you that the Canadian Association of Chiefs of Police have indicated that that won't make any difference. I simply don't see, as a 27-year veteran, how adding another layer of law will make any difference anywhere in this country.
The job of law enforcement to have guns and to decide when to shoot. You just do not want the average citizen carrying a gun.
A break-in at the home of an LA mayoral candidate, Congresswoman Karen Bass, says thieves stole guns from her home.
The last thing I want to say to people, and some of my own Democrats commented to me, this does nothing to stop the illegal criminal content. You're right. This doesn't. It was never supposed to address that.
New tonight, Governor Hochul signed legislation that will limit where people can carry guns. The new law is in response to the U.S. Supreme Court ruling overturning the state's open carry restrictions.
Do you have the numbers to show that it's the concealed carry permit holders that are committing crimes? Because the lawful gun owner will say that you're attacking the wrong person. It's really people that are getting these guns illegally that are causing the violence, not the people going and getting the permit legally, and that's the basis for the whole Supreme Court argument. Do you have the numbers?
I don't need to have numbers.
My parents and I went to a cafeteria in Texas on a bright sunny day, and as you all know the story, this madman drove his truck through the window, and he began shooting, and this guy kept shooting. It took me a good 45 seconds to realize that this man wasn't there to commit a robbery. He was there to simply shoot as many people as he possibly could. When I finally realized what was occurring, I thought, I got him. And I reached for my purse. He was 12 feet away. I took my gun out of my purse and left it in my car. Because as you well know, in the state of Texas, it's sometimes a felony offense to carry a gun in your purse. I can tell you that I'm not mad at the guy that did this. As he continued, my father at that point said, I've got to do something, I've got to do something. No way. This guy turned, shot him in the chest. He went down. Shortly thereafter, someone at the back of the restaurant broke out a window. I turned around and I grabbed my mother by the shirt and I said, come on, we've got to run, we've got to get out of here. As soon as I got out, I realized that my mother had not followed me out. She had crawled over to where my father was and cradled him until the guy got back around to her, put the gun to her head. She looked up at him, put her head down, and he pulled the trigger. I'm mad at my legislators for legislating me out of the right to protect myself and my family. I would much rather be sitting in jail with a felony offense on my head and have my parents alive. I've been sitting here getting more and more fed up with all of this talk about these pieces of machinery having no legitimate sporting purpose. People, that is not the point of the Second Amendment, but it's about our right to be able to protect ourselves from all of you guys up there.
The government said, bring your guns to the police station, and they already know who had guns because we registered our guns. Dictatorship did not happen overnight. From 1938 until 1943, dictatorship. Had we kept our guns, we would have fought a bloody battle to keep our freedoms. A classic example is, in Switzerland, it is law that everybody has to have a gun. And Hitler took every country in Europe except Switzerland. And Switzerland did not have a war for more than 600 years. So keep your guns. Keep your guns.